Yes, this all looks very different because I'm using my laptop to record on. Unfortunately, my main computer is in hospital right now. So I'm sorry if the quality isn't that good or the lighting isn't that good. It's not set up for that. However, you'll be seeing more of stuff on the screen than me. And I'm going to be talking about Lee Anderson and the damage limitation that the media, the overdrive of damage limitation that they're trying to put across because of what Lee Anderson said. It's almost as if they were coordinating. I'm Grannyopteryx. It might have been expressed very clumsily, but it wasn't expressed in any way that a lot of people didn't agree with it. Speaking on Friday to the television channel GB News, Anderson said, "I don't actually believe these Islamists..." Sorry. I've got to go back a bit. Suella Braverman said something about Islamists having got control of a lot of institutions throughout Britain, throughout the country. And what Anderson said was, "I don't actually believe these Islamists have got control of our country, but what I do believe is they've got control of Khan and they've got control of London. He's actually given our capital city to his mates." Now, the fact that it was, he said his mates, will refer to many occasions when Sadiq Khan appears to have been very pally with, let's say, extremely religious Muslims. But he said this after several incidents, one of which was when a mob gathered outside Parliament when they were making a vote, when Parliament was going to debate a motion put forward by the Scottish National Party about a ceasefire in Gaza, and the mob was so riotous that the Speaker of the House changed Commons procedure, he said, to protect the safety of the Labour MPs in the House of Commons. And then after that there was this. This is on Tower Bridge. They'd actually taken over Tower Bridge. So it seemed like the country, and there are many other such examples. That Tower Bridge thing wasn't the only one, and the one outside Parliament was pretty threatening. That's why Anderson said what he did. So Lee Anderson was, cancelled. Sorry, I keep looking at the camera that's not working anymore. Lee Anderson was cancelled. But it was even more than that. Let me show you what turned up on various channels, various television channels.
I just want to ask you, Rishi Sunak made a sort of surprise speech about extremism on Friday night after the election of George Galloway in Rochdale. Now, this time last week, the former Conservative MP Lee Anderson was booted out of the party for comments which many people believed, and we heard in the studio, were Islamophobic.
I think the Conservative Party has been very clear and decisive. What Lee Anderson said was wrong.
You'd be very pleased to know I'm not going to ask you about Lee Anderson because I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say his words were wrong but not racist, weren't you?
Well, having just said you weren't going to ask me, I mean, yes, I do think what he said was...
Did you see that gotcha grin she's got on her face? And they're like a pack of wolves, one after the other. Let's carry on. Sorry, I've got to keep switching the microphone as well. It's all very complicated.
Okay, is there any point in me even asking you whether Lee Anderson's comments were racist?
They were completely wrong.
And also, they're conflating... I'm looking at the wrong camera again. They're conflating racism with, well, Islamophobia, which is a made-up thing anyway. They are conflating criticism of Islam with racism. Have you noticed how they're squashing those two things together? And they're acting as if Islamophobia existed and was a thing. They're just driving the word into your head. Islamophobia, Islamophobia, Islamophobia all the time. And occasionally they're talking about racism. His remarks prompted a flood of criticism from across the political spectrum, with Labour Party chairwoman Annalise Dodds calling them unambiguously racist and Islamophobic. They're just throwing both of them at him now. So let's just get on with this.
Are Lee Anderson's words that we've just heard there Islamophobic? Well, Lee Anderson's words were wrong.
Why is it that Number 10 Downing Street doesn't want anybody representing them to come on television and say that his comments were racist?
Because they've made very clear, the Prime Minister has been asked about this, and he's obviously the government's principal spokesman. He's made very clear that what Lee Anderson said was wrong.
Are they Islamophobic? So I am just repeating to you what the Prime Minister said.
The words of Lee Anderson, would you regard them as Islamophobic?
Well, I've been very clear that what Lee said was wrong, it was unacceptable, and that's why we suspended the whip. And it's important that everybody, but particularly elected politicians, are careful with their words and do not inflame tensions.
But there's a difference between wrong and Islamophobic. Were they Islamophobic?
Well, I think
There's a difference between wrong and Islamophobic. As if Islamophobic were a thing. Have you seen how they're just pushing this message into people's brains? I'll carry on just a minute, switch the microphone again.
the important thing is that the words were wrong.
Do you believe his comments were racist?
I think that what Lee said was completely unacceptable. It was wrong.
You say it was wrong. Was it racist?
Well, it was wrong.
I don't know why nobody's saying it's not racist to criticise a religion. And that in any case, Islam is not a race. Why are they doing this? They must all know that Islam isn't a race. And yet they're persisting in pushing this idea. And one after the other after the other. Have you noticed? Right, I'll switch microphones again.
And I'm not going to get into arguing about the rights and wrongs of what he said. It was wrong. In my book, wrong is a strong word.
So for Lee Anderson to have the whip suspended, where was the tolerance there?
Well, Nick, respectfully, I think what Lee said was wrong.
Yeah.
And as a result of what he said.
Now, that's where the Conservative Party, that isn't the place where the Conservative Party got the wrong idea. It was originally wrong to begin with. It was handed down from central office that everybody should say it was wrong. That's the message. No, they should not. Mind you, they shouldn't have suspended Anderson in the first place. But repeating that word wrong all the time, it just means that the message comes across that the Conservative Party is wrong. I'm afraid. They just don't seem to have any idea of getting a message across. Not that they deserve to, by the way, because they're a complete set of idiots. All right, back to changing the microphone.
He had the whip removed from him. That's
What was it specifically that meant the whip had to go? We agree it was wrong, but why was it wrong?
Nick, it was wrong. What
But why was it wrong?
What he said was wrong. As a result of what he said, the whip was removed from him. That was robust action. That was
Why
robust
was it
action
wrong?
that was
That's what
taken.
I'm trying to get at.
It was wrong, Nick, because of what he said.
That's what we in the logic community refer to as circular reasoning. You see, they were told to say it was wrong, but they weren't given a reason for it being wrong or a definition. And so they're all flapping about at sea with the expression. Okay, let's carry on back to that microphone.
Wrong? I'm wrong on a daily basis. I'm not a racist.
No, but what he said about Sadiq Khan was profoundly wrong.
Racist?
And those things were not true. They're not true.
And she's trying to push this racist idea. I want to draw something to your attention here. Moderate Muslims who didn't go with the mainstream of nutcase Islamism that's flooding across our country right now. Yeah, Sadiq Khan called them Uncle Toms. Now, if that's not racist, I don't know what is. Lee Anderson said nothing like that. But Khan, they're not doing these, stern. I've got these glasses on and I'm hard type of quizzes. Just look at that expression on her face. Oh, she's really going to get at the truth. I wish I could stop looking at the wrong camera. She's really going to get at the truth, isn't she? Racist. The fact that she doesn't seem to understand what the word racist means, well, yeah, no, that's neither here nor there, because as Humpty Dumpty said, who is to be the master of words, me or the words? Okay, let's carry on. Back to changing the microphone. Here we go.
And what he said was wrong.
Let's try this a different way. Was it Islamophobic?
What he said was wrong, and robust action was taken, and the whip was removed within 24 hours.
Minister, was it Islamophobic?
Nick, it was wrong.
Minister, I'm going to, and I'm normally a very polite man, I'm actually going to effectively put the fact, I'll ask you now for the third time, I've asked you 6 times why it was necessary.
You see, they're asking an impossible question. Well, actually, it's not Islamophobic either, so that man, whoever it was, could have said, no, it wasn't Islamophobic, but then they'd have got him on something else, and obviously the grandees in central office didn't want to get into that sort of a discussion or could see a problem with it. It's sort of a bit like that, when did you stop beating your wife type of question. That's what's going on here. But in the process of that, they are driving into people's mind this whole idea. They're surrounding Lee Anderson like with a cocoon of Islamophobia, which is a made-up thing, and then they're layering racism on top of that. Which is not even an issue in the Conservative Party. Okay, it's far more of an issue in the Labour Party, actually, but yeah, that's something the media don't want to talk about too much. All right.
Third time, was it Islamophobic?
Nick, it was wrong.
I'll have to curtail the interview there. I'm grateful for your time, but enough already. Michael Tomlinson, as the Minister say for illegal migration, unable to answer a question.
The words of Lee Anderson, would you regard them as Islamophobic?
Well, I've been very clear.
Yeah, I know Rishi Sunak is always being very clear. Right, probably enough of me and this weird lighting and the camera work, but can you see how there's a narrative being pushed? Well, I'm sure you can. Okay, let's see if this video actually comes out worth anything. I'm afraid you might have to suffer a couple more of these before my computer comes back. Okay, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.